Every Sunday, a lot of us sit down and we watch the television. We watch men in uniform, including our own Titans, run up and down the field. We cheer, we carry on, and we try our best to cover ourselves in that blue color, that Titan logo. I ask you today, especially the younger people that are here with us, I know the ones from the essay contest as well, I ask you, please know that these are not our heroes. Our heroes today wear camouflage, flight helmets, and Kevlar. They do what they do for the money. They do what they do not for the money. How about that slip? They do what they do not for the money, but they do it for their love of country. This morning, we are fortunate enough to be surrounded by these heroes in this room. One in particular is our own, Major General James McConville. General, I know you may have been born in Massachusetts, and some of us may sound a little funny to you, but I'm here to welcome you home, back to the 101st. Please help me welcome Major General James C. McConville.
Thank you, Jeff. And that's a South Boston accent, so I'm picking it up. And this is Maria and I's third time back to the 101st in Fort Campbell in the community, and we could not be happier. So thank you so much, and thank you for the warm welcome that we received here. General Smith, all our distinguished veterans. We have our mayors here, we have our carsons here, we have all our distinguished representatives, and this showing is just absolutely fabulous on Veterans Day, because as we know, Veterans Day is a celebration, and we honor America's veterans for their patriotism, their love of country, and willingness to serve and sacrifice for the common good. And as many of you probably know, and I kind of knew, but it came into being on the 11th day of the 11th month of the 11th hour in 1918 as World War I ended. And I was hoping Ted Crozier was going to be here, because I think he was at the signing during that time period. But our thoughts are with Ted, just a great American, a great veteran. And when you serve in the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, and you're surrounded by wonderful communities like Clarksville and Montgomery County, every day is Veterans Day. So thank you all, and thank you to the community. Now, as we celebrate, I'd like to thank all our veterans that are in the audience today. And I'd like to give a special thanks to our Vietnam veterans, because today we can't walk through an airport, go into a shopping mall or a restaurant without someone coming up and thanking us for our service. And that was not the case for us Vietnam veterans. So I'm going to ask our Vietnam veterans to please stand up, and a special thanks from us to you. And thanks you never got. Thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies. And many know about the 30,000 plus soldiers we have at Fort Campbell, but there are many more who contribute to our community. And we have 8,000 civilian employees. We have 53,000 family members. And the thing that really surprised me, we have 151,000 retirees and their families all choose to stay in this community because of the support that you provide them. And it's absolutely wonderful. I think the community here goes much further in recognizing our soldiers than just on Veterans Day and Memorial Day. You're there for our Eagle Remembrance ceremonies, our homecoming flights, and so many of you reach out to our soldiers and families in time of need. Our wounded soldiers are welcomed and live in your neighborhoods, and our children and grandchildren go to school and play sports with yours. There's no other community in the country that supports our military and veterans better than you do. So a big hand for you all. I'd like to tell you one story about a 101st veteran who's active and contributing in your community. One of my officers in the 101st Airborne Division, son, plays baseball in the Clarksville, Montgomery County Little League. And there was a young man on his son's team whose dad who didn't happen to be in the military, never attended any of his son's games. So one day that little boy asked his dad, he goes, "Dad, why don't you come to my games?" And he said, "Well, I don't feel well. You know, my back hurts a lot." Well, that little boy said, "You know, my coach doesn't have any legs, and he comes." That boy's assistant coach was a veteran. He was a former non-commissioned officer in the 101st Airborne Division who had lost his legs in Iraq. That little boy's father never missed a game again after that. Ooh. I'd like to talk to you a little about what's going on at Fort Campbell as of late. Thursday night, we welcomed back 101st Sustainment Command after a great tour in Iraq. We still have a little, in Afghanistan, excuse me. We still have a little over 900 soldiers in Iraq, and we have about 3,000 soldiers in Afghanistan. Many of you heard the President's recent announcement on Iraq, and we're prepared to give those soldiers a warm, Screaming Eagle welcome once they work out the details and the requirements of theater and when they redeploy. And we anticipate 159 being back from Afghanistan in February, and then we will have all our brigades home for the first time in a long time. And one of the things we do, and we've been in a reintegration mode, bringing our soldiers back, resetting their families, and I've had a chance to travel a little bit. And I went out to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base on last Friday to present a Silver Star posthumously to the parents of Specialist Jesse Snow, one of our heroic Screaming Eagles. Jesse was a remarkable young man, and I'd like to tell his story. On November 14th, while he was with the 1st Brigade, he went out on a patrol in northeast Afghanistan near the Pakistan border. I can tell you I've been there. It's really some of the most difficult terrain and enemy the Army has ever faced. His platoon was attacked, and several of his fellow soldiers were injured. His weapon was destroyed by a rocket-propelled grenade, but that did not deter him, like all our Screaming Eagles, from continuing his mission. He immediately rushed forward, unarmed, to drag his fellow wounded soldiers to safety. And after getting them behind cover, he began immediately performing first aid on them. The enemy had them pinned down, and he realized that the machine gun team was running low on ammunition. With total disregard for his own safety, he rushed forward to get more ammunition for them and then low-crawled back to their position and began taking care of his wounded brothers on the battlefield. And as they advanced forward, Specialist Jesse Snow laid on top of one of his fellow wounded soldiers, Sergeant Outman, and took the brunt of incoming fire. Because of Jesse's courageous and selfless actions that day, Sergeant Outman is alive today and was present at the Silver Star ceremony. Jesse's dad was a command master sergeant in the Air Force, and he's very proud of his son's heroism. But he's also very proud and supportive of his other son, Alex, who will report to the 101st Airborne Division as a second lieutenant in a couple of months. Those are the type of people that we have coming to this division. And, you know, as we look to the future, there's some uncertainty, and I know a lot of folks have been thinking about that. You know, we're seeing announcements on the reduced requirements for forces in Iraq, and there's a lot of opinions being expressed right now on our future role in Afghanistan. There's been discussions on budget challenges ahead and the possible ramifications. I will tell you what I tell my troops. Don't let these discussions distract you from our mission, which is to provide trained, disciplined, and fit forces ready for our next rendezvous with destiny. I know our Secretary-in-Chief have some very smart folks looking at the way ahead, and that our senior leadership is committed to ensuring that our force is properly structured and resourced to meet the challenge of the future. The truth is, we don't know what the final resolution is going to be on these fiscal realities that we face. But here's what we do know, regardless of how this thing turns out. We're going to have to be very, very good stewards of the resources that we get. We know we're going to get a finite amount, and we're going to have to make do with what we get in the most efficient and effective manner. We're going to have to make some tough decisions. And I'm going to make sure those tough decisions I have to make are based on input from my subordinate commanders, my families, and my civilian workers. And really to do that, we've stood up a team, and Brigadier General Jeff Colt is leading that team, and we're going to take a look across the entire installation on which programs that we need, and we want to make sure there's not duplicity and that we're all working the programs that we need for our families, and we understand which ones are the most important. And I sleep well at night, and I think you should too, because we are fortunate to have extraordinary young men and women serving in the 101st Airborne Division, and we are very blessed to live in this community. And if and when things get tough, I only have to think about Sergeant Major Perry from the 2nd Battalion of 327th Infantry in the 1st Brigade. Sergeant Major Perry was on a dismounted patrol in Afghanistan, and they were ambushed on 20 December of 2010. The doctors told him that they could save his foot and leg, but he would never be able to run or walk normally again. He said, "Take it off. Take it off." So they took his leg and his foot off, and he began aggressive rehabilitation and took the physical fitness test with his unit when they returned in June and ran 2 miles in 14 minutes and 30 seconds. In October 2010, and some of you there, he ran the Army 10-miler in less than 90 minutes. He's an inspiration for us all, and he is the type of non-commissioned officer we have in the 101st Airborne Division. He lives up to the legacy that a lot of the gentlemen in here have left us, and he set the bar even higher for those who will follow him. Thank you again for all you do to support our soldiers and their families, and please keep our veterans and deployed soldiers in your thoughts and prayers. Aerosol, thank you.
Thank you, Major General McConville. Thank you very much. As you see those heroes that are out there among us in the camouflage, you'll see many today during the parade. You'll stand next to them on the side of the street. Please say something to them. Tell them thank you for your service. Tell them thank you for what they do. It means a lot. Please rise for the retiring of the colors. Color Sergeant, present the color guard. Color Sergeant, please retire the colors. Please be seated. If I could, over here to my left, I'd like to ask retired Sergeant Major Harvey Appleman, his wife Molly, to please stand. Am I correct in that today is 56 years of marriage for the two of y'all?